Ahoy, and welcome to the Raw Review. Started off with Adam Pearce calling out Seth Rollins, the Masked Man.
Loads of masked men came out. There were loads of masked men.
Seth Rollins eventually reveals himself, and then out come The Vision, along with the Usos and LA Knight to have a bit of a ruckus. The Usos are backstage and they're asked about their thoughts on CM Punk's promo in relation to their deceased uncle. They are not happy with proceedings and they'll be speaking to Punk later. Just a reminder that 2K26 is out in all markets on Friday. We then got to the women's Intercontinental #1 Contenders Gauntlet match. I fully get that it puts people over strong, but I think it removes the ability to have a feud with the people they've already beat in a multi-man match. But I didn't need to be worried. Io Sky took out Lyra Valkyria, and then Raquel Rodriguez came out. Io managed to beat her with a top rope DDT roll-up type maneuver, but Raquel was not happy after dominating the early proceedings of the match and took her outside to lay a bit more pain on Io Sky. This allowed Ivy Nile to quickly beat her before she went on to be defeated by the next entrant, Bayley. Got down to Bayley and Asuka in a clash of damage control from days past. Asuka had Kyrie out with her, but Lyra run out to make sure things stayed one-on-one. Bayley wins the match and goes on to face AJ Lee next week for the title on Raw. She had a little promo backstage saying how she would give Lyra the first title defense if she ended up winning. I like that Bayley won this match. I would like her to win the title. If this match was to be at WrestleMania, I would have been more than happy for Becky to take out Bayley and then take her place in the match, similar to what happened last year or the year before. Now, hopefully, Bayley can have an Intercontinental title match against Lyra at WrestleMania, so there's no harm done. But if she's not going to be on the card, this is the way I would have had her removed to then give her a little bit more reason for when she and Lyra turn against the system after WrestleMania. There was a quick Roman and Punk recap from last week, going over the strong words that Punk had for Roman. We then had quite a good Natty promo where she was interrupted by Maxine. I wonder if this is going to make it all the way to WrestleMania or if it will be blown off either the week before or the Raw after. We had DanHausen backstage with the original Grande Americano. After a little bit of discussion, Grande got cursed. We saw him walking on the way to the ring and there were two figures in the background. Penta then came out for his Intercontinental title match, but it was against the other Grande Americano, not the one that we were expecting. Is this down to DanHausen's curse? Who knows? I thought this was excellent. I really liked the other Grande taking original Grande's place. I believe they've got a match next week on AAA. Maybe this will also make its way to WrestleMania. Penta cut a really good promo before the match, talking about how thankful he was to win the title and to be in the WWE. This was followed by a Stephanie Vaquer promo, all in Spanish with translations at the bottom. I really like her. I think she's doing really good. I would still pitch for Dom to join forces with her at WrestleMania, turning on Liv, and then have Liv go in a bit more of a face role. Or at the very least, break away from Dom and go out on her own. We then had the second appearance of DanHausen. This time he came out to throw t-shirts out to the crowd and cut a small little promo. Really liked how well he's doing, how much the crowd like him. I hope they're able to keep this up. I think he'll be a wonderful character, especially for the 2K games. Out this Friday. The Judgment Day, sans Finn Balor, then came out. Dom cut a promo, whining a little bit about losing his title, but blaming it on Finn. Finn then came out to have a talk with him and mentioned how he's been trying to help Dom this whole time. But much like the rest of Dom's family have been saying to him, he thinks that maybe Dom is a bit of a whiny bleep.
Can't believe the profanity.
Dom hit Finn, Finn hit Dom, the rest of the Judgment Day tried to keep them apart, they broke apart and attacked each other again, they got split up, and then as Finn was going for Dom, JD McDonough took him out. This led to the rest of the Judgment Day, including Liv and Raquel, putting a beat down on Finn, leaving him in the ring, needing some medical attention to leave, although by the time he left, he was getting a lot of cheers. I think this is going to be the match for WrestleMania. I would have it for the AAA title at WrestleMania to big up that title, but apparently Dom is facing for Kingo for that title this weekend. We had a little title win recap for Cody Rhodes, winning the title off of Drew on SmackDown. You can see my reaction in one of the shorts. Interesting promo up next with Adam Pearce and Javon Evans before the New Day of Kofi and Grayson Waller came up to speak to him. Kofi told Grayson to leave them alone and then put forward to Javon that maybe he should have a group around him and asked him not to respond now. I would like to see Javon link up with Kofi and Xavier for a period of time just to keep him learning, get him a bit more experience, and then he can turn on the team later down the line. However, it's very possible that next week on Raw, Javon just hits his OG cutter on Kofi and that's the end of the matter. In what was essentially our main event match this week, we had Femi taking on Rusev. Happy to see Rusev on Raw. Good to see Femi being really dominant. He absolutely dominated Rusev before picking up the win. Think he's going to do really well across this year. And finally, we had our main event segment of the evening with CM Punk coming out to cut a promo for his match at WrestleMania against Roman. He was surprised to the positive reception that he got from the crowd. He was speaking about some of the things he said last week, which led to the Usos coming out extremely angry for what was said about their deceased uncle. Jay was the angrier of the two. Jimmy was keeping it a bit more together, but Jay demanded an apology from Punk right up in his face. The crowd were chanting for Punk to apologise, and after a little bit of messing around, he did say sorry, but he couldn't leave it at that, and he turned it into sorry for all the terrible stuff that Roman had done to the Usos without apologising. The Usos gave Punk more than enough opportunity to say sorry. He didn't. They both ended up hitting Punk and left him laying in the ring whilst they left. Punk wasn't battered, just hit once from both the Usos and just left sitting on the floor thinking about what he'd done. This was fully Punk's fault. He easily could have apologised, especially to the Usos, for what he said. Is this going to be a return of the bloodline? I don't know. I'm not necessarily against it as a loose association, similar to when Evolution got back together to take on the Shield for a month or two back in 2014. We have it confirmed that Roman will be on Raw next week to address what Punk said. And that was Raw. I thought it was a good show this week. What did you think? Are you enjoying the build to WrestleMania? Do you think the right person won the Gauntlet match? And do you think Punk has gone too far with what he said? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you back here for SmackDown.